Team, greetings from a very windy pool as we weather this storm in the middle of a pandemic. You'll see that I'm actually at home and I'm not in the HQ building because we've, after a year of taking calculated risks in running the op from Chilmark altogether, we've gone down to much more of a skeleton crew in Chilmark to just protect ourselves from catching the virus and becoming ineffective in our response. So the ops team still in there, walking towards danger every day, but the rest of us are only coming in 1 day a week for planning meetings, all socially distanced, and the rest of the time we're now working remotely. So I've had to put this bookshelf up to make myself look more intelligent when I do these video calls now. And also you'll notice that I am getting into my lockdown haircut, and it'll start curling up here like it did in wave one. So I'll be starting to do these videos to you in a peak cap. These messages from me dropped off last year in all the chaos, and Gordon McKenzie, who some of you might know, very wise, very experienced responder, gave me a nudge last week and said, look mate, pick your game up. And so taking the feedback straight and picking up to let you all know what's going on, because stuff is always happening in this place at a million miles an hour. And I just remain forever amazed that something so small in its centre can have such tremendous impact across the country right now, and it's so potent. And I'm going to go into some of the things that we're doing, but as just one example that happened in the last 12 hours, Mark Bellamy, he's working in the multi-agency cells in the Northwest Midlands, there. And last night when the Mersey went underwater, he got a call at 23:30 for need of responders. We have people on the ground by 08:30 this morning. That's unreal. That's the turnaround of a full-time professional emergency service, and it's our volunteer responders, it's you, that were out there first thing this morning on the ground, managed to mobilise that response through the dark hours. I was on the national voluntary call this morning with all of the other emergency agencies, and Mark Bellamy spoke fantastically. And actually at the end he was saying, he's got 6 big tasks running in his region at the moment, and React is taking all of them. And we are this minnow. Our budget is 250 times smaller than the players that we're punching against, and it's fantastic to see what they're all delivering. And in terms of the COVID response, we've been 10 months at this now, 10 solid months, without a day not on operations. Yes, the tempo did drop through the summer. We all then went and hung out on the beaches and we spread the virus more. But it's been not a single day off for the op since about the 25th of March. For those of you that did serve in the military, we would go away and we would work incredibly hard for 6-7 months, but it would stop and we would have an R&R gap in the middle. Well, we're not afforded that luxury here, and it very much feels like being on operation constantly, and just this tiny centre, the full-time team at Chilmark and now remote in their homes, just continue just putting their shoulder to the wheel. As does our regional rep screen now and the stakeholder engagement managers from React that are in the multi-agency cells. For those of you who aren't tracking what that is, the Voluntary Community Sector Emergency Partnership is the national body of all voluntary emergency agencies. That's formed 5 regional multi-agency cells to help run the COVID response. So we've got each of the 5 key stakeholder managers in there. They're React responders, and they're doing the most incredible job. And for instance, Steve Finley, before Christmas, him and his wife caught COVID, were incredibly poorly, but he was still in the fight, on his laptop, on the headset every day, while suffering with COVID, delivering the mission. Just unreal. Mark Bellamy, I've just talked about. It is just the most amazing amount of stuff going from them. And our regional rep screen is working hand in glove with them. They're responders, just like all of you, but they're on a stipend at the moment to work with us full-time through this crisis. And there's 10 of them out in the regions at the moment, and they're connecting in with all the local resilience forums, all the local community agencies, trying to get the unmet needs out, then working with multi-agency cell or working directly back into the mission hub to spin tasks up and get things done. They are working so incredibly hard. I get to touch it every Friday morning where those 15 people come together with all of us on a big national video call, plus other guests, and the information picture they give is so rich. It's unbelievable. And I don't think there's another agency in the country that from the centre can see such depth of information in the different regions, and that's all on the work of those people that I've just mentioned. I can't thank them enough, and some of them have been at this since March as well. You know, they were the first people out the door. Lizzie Starman is still working in Standing Joint Command as the strategic LO with the Army, although luckily they've given her a laptop now so she can do a bit more from home instead of the 90-mile round trip that she was doing each way every day. So there is just the most amazing amount of work going on at that sort of strategic to operational level for REACT across the country, and the impact that is having has made us a real player now in the UK resilience space. You know, Ben Lampard is being consulted 2 or 3 times a week by, you know, the Red Cross, the big players, Fair Share UK on food, you know, into how to attack these problems. And what you've all done, you know, the responders that have been out on the ground delivering these missions, and those regional reps and the SEMs, what they have done now is created a legacy that will see us grow and develop massively. It's accelerated our growth in the UK by a decade. You know, we have local resilience forums now asking us to respond to flooding. We used to be there. Some of you will have been the people knocking on the door of community halls when the town is underwater, trying to offer our services and being told to sling the hook because no one knows who we are. The work that you've all done over this last 10 months has leapfrogged our influence by a decade in the UK now. And that everyone, well, I say everyone, the people that need to know who REACT are now and what it is you can all do when an area has just suffered its worst day. I'm incredibly proud to keep watching it. It is just fantastic. And to still be this little organisation, young and small in the centre, to be able to be delivering high-tempo operations for 10 solid months, spread out with 30 tasks running a day at one point, to continue doing that whilst leveraging the strategic work of the voluntary sector, to then be able to pivot, like on a nutshell, and respond to flooding, which of course is that's our bread and butter. That's where we come from. Is remarkable, and it just shows how far we have come in the last year or two to be able to do that now. And I do have to take my hat off to the ops team in the Mission Hub, Ben, Paul, Nicola and Luke, to be able to do this, to be able to keep these plates spinning, to understand what's going on at every layer of the battle, and to manage it with absolute expertise. I don't know where Nicola gets the hours and the days from. I'm sure she has a 29-hour day, because the amount of work she gets through in organising all this, now backed up by Luke Cox, is incredible. And I do take my hat off to them. I'm in awe of the way they operate that thing. And so I want to give you a quick update on what the rest of this year is going to look like. I mean, it's only January, but what the shape of the year is roughly going to look like in big handfuls, because we have just been running at COVID. We've done everything we can to support the country and the communities, and we've taken our eye off everything else, because it's just been everything we've got at that battle. And now's the time actually we've got to start considering how do we get back to our old response mission, because we're doing so much. We're about to start putting mortuaries up again now. That wasn't our core mission. It's amazing that we can create these capabilities so rapidly because of the experience and the ability and the flexibility, if you will. But we do need to start considering how we get back to our core mission and our humanitarian work, because there's vulnerable people all over the world that are going to need your support in this post-COVID environment, or even in the during COVID environment out there. So this first quarter out to April is what it is. We cannot control that. We are systemically important now in this COVID response, and to just back out would be completely against our values. I sat with the management team on Tuesday, and I did say, because the full-time team is under an immense amount of pressure, and are tired, and it's been a long time. I did ask the management team, have we done enough? Do we, for the first time ever, have to say no more? No, we've done enough. And the response I got from all of them unanimously was like, no, that's not our values, and that's not what sets us apart. And it was a resounding, shut your mouth, Rich, we're pushing on. Brilliant. I mean, amazing. So Q1, we just keep doing what we're doing. We support the country, we support the communities, we support the voluntary sector, and we just keep pushing, and we do everything we can to help the country get through this next lump of COVID until the vaccine to infection ratio hopefully starts to pivot in our favour at the end of Q1. But we do have to be now getting our eyes up to how do we start to wind down the response in April, so that we won't just let go of everything, because we can't just let go of this regional access now and influence, because we want to make sure we can always respond in the UK with the same level of dynamism that you all are now. You know, the story I told you at the beginning about Mark Bellamy being able to deploy a team through the dark hours in 6 hours, I never want us to lose that. That's incredible. And it's about withdrawing from the COVID battle, where government and local authorities should now be paying contractors to do it, and getting ourselves back into being able to, through Q2, you know, the second quarter of the year, to recock the organisation, you know, to drop the tempo, to start then looking at how we get our training pipeline back up and running, start bringing those veteran volunteers that signed up into the family properly and becoming responders, start embedding a new fundraising model. You know, we need to really invest in the infrastructure behind that, looking at our longer term view then in how we get back into the humanitarian mission, and just shaking the organisation out. A bit like when a military unit's been away on operations, it has to come back, it has to shake out, it has to reorbit. We need to go through that process as well. And there's lots of inward-facing work programmed in for Q2, but it's all around getting the infrastructure ready for what's next. And of course, you'll have seen an EOR yesterday about a HQ move. You know, please don't panic, we're not moving just yet, because actually we have no idea where we're going to go yet. And that project manager role we're asking for is to help us bring those options together, to what does the HQ for the next 5 years need to look like? What does it need to deliver? So at the moment we have no plan, but we have served notice at Chilmark, and we'll be coming out of the main building in June, but we're keeping hold of the hangar. And that will be our fallback option if we haven't found a new location, because we can put critical HQ functions in there and we can run training out of there. So we are keeping hold of the hangar on a rolling basis after June. But at the moment, I have no idea where the new HQ will be, because we haven't fully explored what it has to deliver, because the world keeps changing so much. But so in Q2, there will be then the planning for a move of the main building at least, and maybe indeed the whole of the HQ call sign. That is all to set us up then for hurricane season, because, you know, July time onwards, you know, that's sort of disaster season. I mean, stand fast, you know, I'm saying we're going to take a quiet second quarter. There's probably going to be a cyclone in Mozambique that's then going to drive a cart and horses through this whole plan, but no plan survives first contact. But then, you know, it is to prepare us for hurricane season and disaster season, and we need to be ready to respond to, certainly to the partners where we've deployed before, and they would expect us to be there, parts of the Caribbean and Indonesia in particular. But also then looking to reinvigorate our COVID outreach potentially, to see how we can support developing or vulnerable locations with COVID outreach. You know, cognizant of our mission statement, it's always focused on the most remote and the most vulnerable. And that will be then the second half of the year, getting back to our core mission, maintaining our response capability in the UK, and getting back to our core international mission. Of course, what I haven't mentioned in any of that is Resilient. You know, some of you will be tracking that we opened this little business 3 months ago, which has now accelerated significantly. So we have 2 organisations all under one. It's all owned by the board of trustees. We have 2 organisations, both in growth, you know, both in scale at the same time, which is incredibly exciting, but it throws incredible amounts of challenge at us. And for those of you that look at the growth factors of business, you know, that we are facing challenges that most businesses face over 10 years in weeks and months, because the Resilient is scaling so fast, React continues to develop so fast. So there is very exciting opportunities around us, but it is challenging keeping these 2 rocket ships properly aligned, putting the right level of governance and policy into them, whilst allowing the freedom to go and develop the money. And it, to remind you, every penny of profit from Resilient goes into funding the React mission. So Q1 for Resilient is to focus on the COVID-only market, commercial COVID testing, very high margin, very good opportunity. We only need a few of those contracts to see us through. Q2 will be where Resilient then starts to looking at what its longer term view is. What does it become post-COVID? What does its consultancy model look like? What does its leadership training model look like for professional organisations? And what does its resilience consultancy look like? Idea being that then in the second half of the year, React and Resilience missions start to fuse more closely so we can deliver greater humanitarian impact between the two parts of the organisation, which share the same values and the same mission sets, but just done in two different ways. So that is a very high level view of what this year is going to look like. It will always be busy, but we do just need to come down out of the COVID tempo because it is unsustainable. And we do need to now take a year to consolidate that work that you've all done and to get the organisation ready now for its next 5 years of development and put the necessary infrastructure in place. I'm going up to Ashton Gate tomorrow, which is one of the mass vaccination sites where our team is running the marshalling and logistics. And I've heard just the most fantastic things about the way Nick and Tamara have been running the operation there. And I can't wait to get out there and see the responders in action tomorrow, because that's always the best part of my job, being able to get out and see what you're doing. And I don't really get much time to sit back and reflect on what we've done at the moment. That will come in the future. But just here off the fly, to look back over 10 months and to think about the work that you've all done to support the country, picking up the hard end of the stick. What is different about you is you're not a volunteer in the way it seems. You're not cardigan wearing, socks under sandals. You are some of the most professional people in the business, and you walk towards danger repeatedly for the good of others, and it's incredible. Everything from hospital logistics to food to mortuaries to supporting other overwhelmed charities much bigger than ourselves. You've all continually kept doing it, and if you're sitting on the sidelines and you haven't been able to get into the fight yet, I encourage you to do so, because one day we're all going to get to sit back, have a look at what's happened, and know you did something of meaning through the pandemic. And huge numbers of you already have. And I will be forever grateful for the work you've done. And some of you have just gone from task to task to task to task, continually staying in the fight. And I'm beyond grateful to all of you. It's just an incredible privilege to be a part of this with you. I'm equally grateful to the full-time team who have basically not had an hour off since last March. So I'll make sure that these get reinvigorated right now. So there's so much going on all the time. I want to keep you in the drumbeat so that you understand what's happening at a HQ level, but most importantly, what's happening with the responders on the ground who are just leaning in again and again and again, supporting our communities. Right, team, it's been great to catch up with you all. I hope you're all having a safe and good start to the year, and may that continue. And I'll see you all soon. Cheers, team.